Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Gauranitai. Radha Shyama Sundar Radhe. Jaya Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram. Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Shila Prabhupada ki.
Jayam Vishnupada Paramahansa Parivajakatarya Astatara Satashi Shimad. His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki. Srila Prabhupada ki. ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki. Jayam Vishnupada Paramahansa Parivajakatarya Astatara Satashi Shimad. His Divine Grace Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj Goswami ki. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki. Namaste Gaur Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasudeva Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Go Gopinatha Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan ki. Brajabhumi Vrindavan Dham ki. Srila Mayapur Dham ki. Srila Jagannath Puri Dham ki. Gangamaya ki. Yamuna Maya ki. Bhakti Devi ki. Srimati Tulasi Maharani ki. Shri Shri Nuraman Reti ki. Shri Shri Radhashama Sundara ki. Shri Shri Krishna Balaram ji ki. Shri Shri Gauranatai ji ki. Srila Prabhupada ki. Samaveda Bhaktivinoda ki. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Garanga, Gaur Pimanande.
Namaste Narasimhaya. Pralado Lado Rajaine. Pralado Lado Rajaine. Hiranyakashipu Bhattaha. Lila Sankana Kalaye Ton Risimho Paraton Risimho Yasoya Mitaton Risimho Paen Risimho Ridayen Risimho Nitim Hamadim Saranam Prapade Sabakaro Kamalavane Nakam Adbhuta Sringam Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanuvringa Keshavadvita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jayo Nrisimha De, Jayo Nrisimha De, Jayo Nrisimha De, Jayo Nrisimha De. Haribol. Jayo Bhakta Prahlad, Jayo Bhakta Prahlad, Jayo Bhakta Prahlad, Jayo Bhakta Prahlad. Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada. Singhadev Bhagavan, Puran Maharaj Ki.
Hare Krishna, welcome everyone. Anybody visiting for their first time today? Anybody here for their first time? You've never come before to Alachua? Oh, that's so nice. Thank you for coming. From Fort Lauderdale? Yeah, Haribol. And also, so you're both here for the first time. They're staying in our guest house for an immersion in spiritual practice. But I think you must go to the Miami temples because you seem like you know what you're doing. And your children can play mridanga, so. Anybody else, first time? Yes, welcome. Thank you. Want to sit down? Come in. We're going to give you a bookmark, and when you leave here later, you can go to the front of the temple, and they'll give you a book to take home today. Anybody else? Oh, yes, that's right. Your friend came with you. That's cool. Okay, one to this girl over here, too. Just do this so he'll know who you are. Okay, very good. All right, so today the feast is not sponsored. There are many more opportunities to sponsor the Lord's Prasad this year in honor of a loved one or an occasion. You just call the temple office or you see me and I'll tell you how to do that. However, there was a birthday cake sponsored for all the devotees. And that was sponsored by Leela and Anjani Singh and for her granddaughter Gayatri's 3rd birthday. Okay. More than this? Okay. Thank you. So I want to welcome Mother Kartamisha. She's visiting from Gitanagari. Haribol. Always nice to have you here. Yesterday, we had a fantastic Rath Yatra event in St. Augustine. This was the first of the season. I want to thank all the devotees who came out for it. Especially thanks to Bhadra Prabhu for organizing it, and Dharmaraj and Radhakund for being dedicated to these festivals and handling the Rath cart, even building the Rath cart. Mother Yadunandana for taking care of Lord Jagannath, or as she prefers me to say, Lord Jagannath takes care of her all year long, and her son Govinda, who's always helping. Jayanti Prabhu for overseeing all the prasad. That was amazing, wonderful, organized prasadam distribution. I was really impressed. They have 2 lines that are going simultaneously. There was practically never a wait, and there was so much prasadam. Shanka Prabhu for cooking it all. It was really very, very good. Everybody loved it. So, thank you. Asachi Nandan, of course, definitely not least. Sachi Nandan Prabhu for organizing the transportation and helping the whole Rath Yatra committee, keeping it all going on. I'm sure I forgot other people, so please forgive me for that. Mother Yada was telling me that, the Rath cart is parked right there on the main street. So there's a lot of tourists and stuff in St. Augustine. It's a really nice town, very friendly town. And so all day people were coming up to the cart, and she's sitting there on the cart the whole time saying, what is this? What's going on? And she got to speak to so many people, and she would explain who Lord Jagannath is, why he comes out. And the lady said to her, you have made my whole week. Thank you so much. And then she said, maybe you've made my whole month. And then maybe, she said, I think this is the best thing that's happened to me this year. And Yadu said, maybe I've made your whole life. So that's how it was all day. There's so many, very nice, responsive people. So here's what's coming up this week. Wednesday is Ekadasi Day. 1 week from this Saturday is our annual yard sale. So you can start your spring cleaning. You got a little time. Put together the stuff you don't want anymore. Get yourself a spot at the sale so that others can buy your stuff for their stuff collection, and then you can check out what they don't want for your stuff collection. So it's a really fun, everybody, we fill up the whole field out here with devotees selling their things. Everything is super cheap. It's $15 to set up. And Ani would like you to be ready by 7 a.m. because it's advertised. A lot of people come from the greater community, and apparently garage sales start at 7 a.m. So our holy, that's what they tell us when they come here. What's wrong with you people? It's supposed to start at 7. Our Holy Festival of Colors is a week from the yard sale on Saturday, April 12th. It's from noon to 4. There are service sign-up sheets now at the back of the temple room. If you commit to helping for a 2-hour time slot, you get a free entrance pass, a bag of colors, and free lunch. Can't beat that. We have 4 bands playing this year. They're coming from around the country. Everything is going to take place in one area in the field in the front property. So it's going to be more compact in, and you'll get to see what's happening and participate and not have to move off that field during the day. We have a lot of invitation cards printed up. They look like this. They're at the back of the temple room, and they're also, Sri Devi has them at the lobby. If you're going to school, or you're going to the doctor's office, or you're going to meet people, or anywhere you can take these and distribute them, please do. Feel free. The more people that come, the merrier. So you may know, many of you may know, that renowned photographer and filmmaker Yadubar Prabhu, sitting right back there, is producing Haribol. He's in the process of producing a world-class film on the life and accomplishments of His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. And he's basing the production crew here in Alachua. They've been generously donated a house for their work and their staff by Prema Manjari and Dharmaraj Prabhus, but it's completely empty. So they need furnishings, miscellaneous household things, maybe stuff that you're getting rid of in your spring cleaning. So if you have anything like that, please let Yadobar Prabhu know, and he probably could use it for his house. Or you can just call the temple office and we'll let him know for you. If you'd like to help with the film, but you're not a filmmaker, you could help by setting up this house. That would be very much appreciated. Just let him know if you have any time. Also, I'm asking everyone to remember to stop by the Eco Teaching Farm table. It's over by the cow pen. You can meet Sarabi, our new baby gear cow. And you probably know by now, because I say it every week and will continue until all those squares are filled up on the barn, that we are in the middle of an important fundraiser for a new barn. It's going to enable us to rescue milking cows and provide fresh milk for our deity seva. Your contributions to this barn build will create a lasting legacy for generations to come, teaching our own children and the community the importance of cow protection. So please help. Everyone should contribute something, and you become part of that barn, which will be here for many, many years to come. These are our second-generation devotees taking on this seva of raising the new cows that we're getting, the baby cows, and managing the milking program. We're only able to do it because we have interest from younger people. This is a 25-year commitment to take care of a cow. It's a very serious thing, but it was so important to Srila Prabhupada that we teach the world the importance of taking care of cows. So please help and be part of it. You just have to give one donation. Every $108 buys a square foot in the barn. They can explain more to you at the table outside too. Want to mention that the latest edition of Back to Godhead is out now. It's on newsstands and in our gift shop. You can pick it up there. You can also stop by and get a subscription if you don't have one. Sri Devi has subscriptions at the book table also. So let's see, Sunday school is going on, goes from 5 to 6 over at the Bhaktivedanta Academy. You can take your children over there. Mridanga classes are still going on Sundays. I think it's finished now, but it goes from 4:30 till 5. And Ajamil Prabhu picked a ton of carrots for anyone to take. He has his truck parked outside behind the kitchen, and he's inviting the devotees to come and help themselves to homegrown carrots. Apparently, one carrot makes a big glass of juice, so if you're a juicer, you might really enjoy having some of those. Tonight, we're pleased to have Dhanikali Devi Dasi giving us the lecture. She and her husband normally travel to universities around the Midwest. They meet students and they teach them about Krishna consciousness and spiritual life. And I mean literally, they live in a van doing this. For years they've been doing it. You can say they're on the front lines in the battle against Maya and materialism, and it's always nice to have association of devotees like this. So please give her a warm welcome and a wonderful class ahead.
Okay, we'll just briefly chant Jai Radha Madhava. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Yashodanandana Brajajananandana Yashodanandana Brajajananandana Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Brajajananandana Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari Jaya Radha Shama Sundar Radha Shama Sundar Radhe Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Shri Shri Radha Shama Sundar ki jai Shri Shri Krishna Balaram ki jai Shri Shri Gaur Nitai ki jai His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki jai Grantaras Bhagavad Gita ki jai Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Prachanine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Pasacha Deshatanine Panchakalpa Tubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So tonight we'll try to speak a little something about Bhagavad Gita. So Krishna makes many strong claims in the Bhagavad Gita. And there's one verse that I'd like for us to look at tonight in which Krishna makes some very strong claims. So this is from the 9th chapter, text number 2. So it goes like this. Rajavidya Rajaguyam Pavitram Idam Uttamam Pratyaksha-vagamam Dharmyam Susukam Kartam Avyayam. Translation. This knowledge is the king of education. What knowledge is Krishna talking about? Krishna says, this knowledge is the king of education. Yes, he's talking about the knowledge contained in Bhagavad Gita. He says Bhagavad Gita is the king of education. So does everybody here have a copy of Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita as it is? Who does not have a copy yet of Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita as it is. Everybody has one. Okay, we're preaching to the choir tonight. Okay. So Krishna says, this knowledge, yeah, right, who's read it? So this knowledge is the king of education, the most secret of all secrets. It is the purest knowledge. And because it gives direct perception of the self by realization, it is the perfection of religion. This is quite a claim. It is everlasting, and it is joyfully performed. So I'm sure all of you, at one point or another, I know I have many times, met persons who inquire, well, how is your religion different from other religions? Right? You've had that experience? I've had that experience many times. So Srila Prabhupada was also asked this question. How does the Krishna consciousness practice differ from other religions? So Srila Prabhupada would answer, there are no other religions. There's just gradations of one religion. Just like there's one science called mathematics. But there's different gradations of that mathematics. There's basic arithmetic, there's algebra, there's calculus, right? Like triple differential equations, whatever. One science called math, but many gradations on that path of learning. So Prabhupada would say, there's only one religion, but different gradations on that, in that religion. One time Srila Prabhupada arrived at an airport, and a reporter came to interview him. So the interviewer ran down the hallway to catch up with Prabhupada, and then he immediately asked Prabhupada, are you teaching Hinduism or Buddhism? And Srila Prabhupada said, we are teaching neither Hinduism nor Buddhism. We are teaching the truth. And if you are truthful, you will accept it. So the point being that in today's world, there's a very common misconception, not just in today's world, even in past times. There's a very common misconception. They say in India, yata mata tata pata, that there are many, many paths. For each individual, there's a unique path. And they're all good, they're all equal, and they all get you to the same destination. This is a common misconception. But we can see the fallacy in this. If you buy a plane ticket from Jacksonville to New York, where are you going to end up? New York. If you buy a plane ticket from Jacksonville to Detroit, Michigan, where are you going to end up? Detroit, Michigan. Different paths take you to different destinations. So Krishna says it is not true. This is not true that there are different paths all leading to the same goal. Rather, in the 4th chapter, earlier here in the Bhagavad Gita, he says, Ye yata mam prapadyante tam stataiva bhajamyaham mama bhart manu bhartante manushya parta sarvashaha. He says to Arjuna that everyone is following us the same path. What is that path? They're following my path, Krishna says. But according to the degree to which they surrender, according to the approach that they make to me, accordingly I reciprocate with them. In other words, what he's saying is there's one path, but there's many destinations. Just like, again, you get on a train that's going from Los Angeles to New York. There's many, many passengers on that train. If you only spend, $30 or something, you're not going to get past the first destination, maybe the eastern border of California or something. And maybe you pay $60, you'll get all the way to Denver, Colorado. Maybe if you pay $150, you'll get to, Columbus, Ohio or something. But if you pay the whole fare, you'll get to New York. So one path, different destinations, based on how much the passenger is willing to surrender their money, right? How long they're willing to stay on that train. It's a little austere to travel for, a week across country. So this is the strong point that Krishna makes. That don't think that there are other paths. Yet we see in the world a big problem. And that is due to a misunderstanding. And indeed, Prabhupada would often quote his own spiritual master, who said that in this world, there's no scarcity. There's nothing lacking in this world except one thing: knowledge of Krishna consciousness. So due to not knowing Krishna's teachings, the world is having a lot of problems. And one of the big problems the world has is people literally fighting. And literally fighting wars. Not just individually, but even country to country, over religion. Because they can't understand that there aren't different religions. So Prabhupada would sometimes use the example to illustrate this misunderstanding, why this misunderstanding exists. 3 different persons, they never saw a train before. They have no idea what a train is. So they're being told to go and witness the train. Yes, at 8 p.m. tonight, a train is coming through town. Go and witness the train and come back and report. So the first man goes, and he gets there just before the train arrives, and it's coming down the track from a distance in the dark. And he sees the bright light on the front of the train. So he runs back to home base and he tells, I saw the train, I saw the train. Oh, what's your report? What's it like? It's a big, bright light. Oh, okay, thank you. Then the second man says, oh, I want to go see too. So the second man runs out to the train track. And by the time he gets there, the train is actually right there, whizzing by. So he sees the train as this big, metallic, machine cruising by on the track. He goes back to home base. I saw the train, I saw the train. Oh, what was it like? It was like a big metal snake coming down the track. And the first man says, what? It was a bright light. You're wrong. No, it was like a metal snake. No, you're wrong. Then a third person says, I will go see what it was, settle this argument. So he goes down to the train track. By then, the train has parked. The doors are open. He goes on the train. He shakes hands with the conductor. He meets the passengers. Very personal experience he has. He goes back to home base, and he says, you guys are both wrong. This is the way it is. There's people, there's like this, cafeteria, everything. And then they fight. Another example Prabhupada gives is our viewing of a mountain. I don't think you have any mountains here in Florida, but if you travel, you'll be cruising along, and it's maybe some clouds on the horizon, and then somebody says, oh, there's the mountain range. But it just looks like some clouds on the horizon. So from a very great distance, it simply looks like some clouds on the horizon. Then when one gets relatively close, what do they see? A big green and brown rock, maybe with some snow on top. They see the form and the color. And then when one actually approaches the mountain, he can go on the mountain, meet the people living in the villages, see all the little animals, etc. So in this way, we can understand that persons who view the absolute truth in different ways, it's because they're looking at it from different vantage points. It is not that there's more than one absolute truth. We also had the example of several blind men who were given the task of identifying what this object is. So a big elephant was put in the center of the room. And these blind men came and they were asked to identify the object. One of them put out his arms, his hands, and he happened to grab the leg of the elephant. And he felt the leg of the elephant. He said, "Oh, this is a tree trunk." Another person put out his hands and he happened to feel the trunk. And he said, "Oh, it's a garden hose." Right? Another put his hand out and grabbed the tail. "Oh, it's a rope." Another one put his hands out and touched the side of the elephant. "Oh, it's a big wall." Like this, each blind man had their own perception of what the elephant was. Which one of them was correct? Which one of them was wrong? They were each partially correct and partially wrong. Why? Because due to blindness, they couldn't actually get the whole picture. And what can blind people say about something like, if they were to walk into this room and try to speak about the visual art? What good is it for a blind person to come and speak about visual art? So we are in that position. The conditioned souls in this material world actually have no ability to speak about the absolute truth. Not while we're in our blind condition. In order to actually speak something about the absolute truth, to experience something about the absolute truth, and then be able to speak that to somebody else, requires that the disease of blindness becomes cured, that the cataracts or whatever it is that's blocking our vision are removed. So the Krishna consciousness movement is teaching a very scientific process by which the blindness of the conditioned soul can be removed so that our inherent ability to perceive God is awakened. The idea is each and every one of us is a pure spirit soul. That means we actually have the inherent right to perceive spirit and to perceive God, the Supreme Spirit, Krishna. But in the present disease condition of blindness, we can't do so. So here, Krishna said in today's verse that pratyaksha magamam, that this perfection of religion, dharmyam, that this is the perfection of religion, what Krishna is teaching, because it gives one the opportunity to directly perceive the self through realization. So the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is like the graduate study of Bhagavad Gita, there it delineates the science of how to clear away the blindness of the living entity, the spiritual blindness. So there it said, Shrinvatam Swakata Krishna, Punya Shravana Kirtana, Hridyantaso Hyabhajani Vidinoti Saritsatam, Nashta Praeshu Abhadreshu, Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. That by regularly hearing the message of Krishna in the association of the devotees of the Lord, simply by doing this regularly, the Lord within the heart, as the supersoul, will cleanse away all that's in the heart which is inauspicious, all which is blocking our vision of that perception of the self and perception of Krishna. So this very scientific process of devotional service is open for each and every person. There's no prior qualification needed. Krishna himself, at the end of Bhagavad Gita, he very strongly then proclaims that Bhaktyamam abhijanati yavan yash chashmi tatvataha tato mam tatvato gyatva vishate tad anantaram. He says, I promise you, he's promising Arjuna, that this is the only way that one can come to know me in truth, know me fully as I am. And how is that, Krishna says? Only through the process of pure devotional service, which begins with this hearing and chanting. So Krishna says, if one engages in this pure devotional service, one will know me in truth, free from all doubt. And when one, through such devotion, knows me in truth, then what's the result? One obtains the perfection of religion, which is what? To go back to Godhead, go to the kingdom of God, and never take birth again in this mundane platform. So this is Krishna's promise. So although Krishna came and spoke this wonderful message 5,000 years ago, the world is in ignorance of it. And due to being in ignorance of this very simple message, that yes, Krishna says, you can know me in truth by simply removing the blindness. You can experience me in full by following this science of bhakti yoga. Due to not knowing this message, the whole world is suffering. So much so that they even fight over so-called religion. So Krishna then appeared again some 530 years ago. And this time, he came in the form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Last weekend, we celebrated the wonderful appearance day of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, called Gaura Purnima. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Radha and Krishna combined, they appeared he and Lord Nityananda, his associate, appeared just over 500 years ago to, in a practical way, disseminate around the world the easiest and most sublime and most attractive process for engaging in pure bhakti yoga, by which one can wash away the blindness which is covering their spiritual eyes. And so he taught Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama Eva Kevalam, Kalo Nastyeva, Nastyeva, Nastyeva Gatiranyata. That in this current age, the only way that one can actually properly engage in bhakti yoga and actually fully come to realize the Supreme Lord Krishna is through this congregational chanting of the holy names of the Lord. And he primarily recommended the chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So what is it about the chanting of Hare Krishna that allows us to come to that platform of pratyaksha magamam, to be able to directly realize the self through direct perception? So Lord Chaitanya didn't just give the Maha Mantra, he also gave the reasoning as to what the power of this Maha Mantra is. So he explained that at the very onset of chanting, what happens is Cheto Darpana Marjanam. That simply by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, the heart of the living entity, the heart of the living entity is the receptacle that's holding all the dirt, that's blocking our ability to perceive Krishna. And we can't perceive the self without perceiving Krishna. Many people talk about self-realization. You cannot have self-realization without Krishna realization. Why? Because the self is a part of Krishna. Just like in the morning, early in the morning, like 3 o'clock in the morning, it's pitch black. At least out here on the farm where there aren't city lights, etc. It's pitch black. You can't even see your own hand in front of your face. You can hold your hand up like this, you can't even see your own hand. So you can't, what to speak of all the paraphernalia in your room, what's outside. So when will you be able to see these things? When will we be able to see? Yeah, when there's light. And where does the light come from? From the sun. So as the sun rises and we perceive the sun, then we can perceive everything else, including the self. Similarly, when the Krishna sun rises, when one gets progressively, as one gets realization of Krishna, one gets concomitantly realization of the self. You can't have one without the other. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu glorifies this chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra by saying, Cheto Darpana Marjanam. The very first thing that's going to happen by chanting Hare Krishna is that the heart, which is currently the receptacle of all the dirty things that are blocking our vision, that's causing all the darkness, all of that gunk will be cleansed from the heart. Nasta Kreshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Practically, it will be destroyed to nil. That's how powerful it is. And when that happens, when the heart is actually cleansed, then the next effect is that all the inauspiciousness of material life, the blazing fire of material existence, will actually become extinguished. One will no longer have to suffer the threefold miseries of material life. And a second effect of this proper chanting, the proof, the evidence, I should say, that the heart is actually being cleansed. Because after all, if you're ill and you go to the doctor and the doctor gives you some medicine, when you take that medicine, don't you want to see yourself getting better? What if you take the medicine for a week and there's absolutely no change in your symptoms? You're going to start questioning the validity of the medicine, and you might just chuck it and say, forget it, it doesn't work. But if we see our fever gradually going down and our appetite gradually again coming, then we know, oh, the medicine is having its effect, so I continue taking it. So this is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says. How do you know that the Hare Krishna mantra is cleansing your heart? The first symptom is that this blazing fire of material existence that's surrounding us will gradually become extinguished. The inauspiciousness of material life will diminish. And the second effect is that auspiciousness will sprout up in one's life. Wonderful fortune will sprout in one's life. I don't mean one will win the lottery or something like, not that kind of fortune. Real fortune. Real fortune, that one can actually make advancement in spiritual life and become detached from the entanglements of the material world. A third symptom is that transcendental knowledge will become manifest in one's heart. One will actually perceive ignorance being destroyed as transcendental knowledge blossoms. Another symptom is that one will experience an ever-increasing ocean of bliss. How many of us would like to perceive that, experience that? We get little tastes of it here and there. You know, we come to the Kirtan, etc., but then we go home and it's headache again and, you know, fall asleep into the mode of ignorance, can't get up in the morning. But Lord Chaitanya said, The happiness that comes from actually chanting Hare Krishna, when the heart is actually sufficiently cleansed. See, that's a sign that our heart's not sufficiently cleansed. That the happiness comes and then it fades away because it gets, clouds come again and cover up the sun. But the proof that our heart is actually getting fully cleansed is that one experiences an ever-increasing ocean of transcendental bliss. And then finally, the last effect of, or proof that the heart has been fully cleansed, is that one will actually directly experience and realize Krishna as a person. And when this happens, that means one fully tastes the nectar of what it means to be Krishna conscious. So this is the special gift of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Srila Prabhupada actually said in the purport of this verse 9.2 that we looked at today, that if one tries to broadcast, what does the word broadcast mean? Yeah, so there's two different ways of planting seeds. You can go in the garden, for those of you who are gardeners, you can go into the garden and puncture little holes in the ground and plant a seed there, plant a seed there, plant a seed there. It's all very organized and planned. Or you can take your handful of seeds and just go like this and let them fly. That's called broadcasting. Let them fall wherever they fall. It's not just, I choose this little spot here to have a seed and this little spot here to have a seed. It's broadcasted. So Prabhupada says that if one broadcasts the message of devotional service, or if one can't broadcast the message of devotional service for some reason, if one engages himself in helping the missionary activities of Krishna consciousness, help those who are broadcasting, then what will be the result? One will gradually feel spiritual progress. This advancement in spiritual life does not depend on any kind of previous education or qualification. The method itself is so pure that by simply engaging in it, one becomes pure. So we'll repeat the translation of this verse. This is a very important verse in the Bhagavad Gita because Krishna is making a very strong claim, and anybody who's trying to or proclaiming to follow the path of Krishna consciousness, we have to be very familiar with this verse because this is a verse that if we were to go out and read it in public, we would meet with many challenges because Krishna is making very strong proclamations here. So again, Krishna says, this knowledge is the king of education, the most secret of all secrets. It is the purest knowledge, and because it gives direct perception of the self by realization, it is the perfection of religion. It is everlasting, and it is joyfully performed. So congratulations on coming to the right place, whereby one can actually experience the perfection of religion. And it's guaranteed if one just stays on the path. Just like we said, if you get on the train in Los Angeles, just stay on the train, pay the dues as you go along, and go all the way to New York. Don't get sidetracked by tangential destinations. So this is what the Association of Devotees is all about. We're inviting the public to come to our temples so that they can meet devotees and get to the Devotees Association. And we're encouraging people to please take up this process of Krishna consciousness, take the help of other devotees, and be enthusiastic to make it all the way to the final destination. And what is that final destination? To never take birth again in this material world by knowing in complete truth, without any doubts, about the personality of Radhe Shyamasundar. So we'll stop there and see if anybody has any questions or comments. Okay, thank you for that question. That actually is a common question. Sometimes we're out distributing books or what have you, and people will ask, well, have you met Krishna? The question was, how would we answer the challenge if somebody were to say, oh, can I meet one of your congregational devotees and who has actually reached the state of perfection? I'd like to talk with them about their experience, And we have had that challenge. Oh, have you seen Krishna? Have you reached that stage of perfection? And here's the answer. When you're very, very hungry, let's say you're very hungry. I'm sure many of you are very hungry. The feast is going to be served in about 15 minutes. Now, you get this big plate of feast prasadam. When you take the first bite, can you say that your hunger has been completely satisfied? No. If it was, you wouldn't take a second, third, fourth, fifth bite. But by taking that first bite, you're getting some satisfaction, some nutrition, some strength. Now you take a second bite, and it's even more. And a third bite, it's even more. And you keep on going till you finish the whole plate. Another example. Again, go back to 3 o'clock in the morning. What time does the sun rise these days here in Florida? Yeah, about 7:30, I believe. Now, does that mean it's pitch black until 7:30? And then all of a sudden, poof, it's bright out? No. Around 6:15, it starts getting light outside. You don't even need to use a flashlight. So the sun is still an hour away from being on the horizon. I haven't seen the sun. At 6:15 in the morning, I'm not seeing the sun. Nobody can say, there's the sun. No, it's an hour and 15 minutes away. But I can see sunshine brightening the sky more as each 5-minute increment goes by, brighter, 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 brighter. So I know the sun is coming. I'm on the right path. I'm getting warmer. So I may not have experienced the sun yet, but I'm not in pitch blackness anymore like I used to be. Now, here comes the sun, right? Let's sing and dance about it. The Krishna sun is rising. The Krishna sun is rising in our life. That's why we're still on the path. If we were still experiencing pitch blackness, we wouldn't be here. Because we'd just say, hey, this doesn't work. But we should see the Krishna sun rising gradually in our life, step by step, getting brighter and brighter. And it might take, more than this lifetime to actually see the full sun. But we don't lose our enthusiasm because the sun is definitely rising. So we can only answer according to our realization. No, I haven't met the sun yet. I haven't shook hands with Krishna yet. But I'm certainly perceiving the Krishna sun rising in my life. The darkness is being dissipated. The darkness of ignorance is being dissipated. And again, the symptoms of the heart being cleansed. The inauspiciousness is being eradicated. Auspiciousness is blossoming. Transcendental knowledge is manifesting in the heart. And one is experiencing increasingly an ocean of happiness. One time, somebody, well, probably more than one time, but I'm thinking of one time, somebody asked Srila Prabhupada, he said, his challenge was, I haven't seen God, so how do I know God exists? I haven't seen God. And Prabhupada's challenge back was, perhaps you don't have the eyes to see God. That's what we were just talking about. People are arguing that there is no God, or God is dead, or God is like this, but they're blind. They don't even have the proper eyes to see. So you can come and tell us all that the train is a big bright light. That's what it is, and that's all it is, and that's the way, and that's the truth. That's a little teeny tiny fraction of the truth. So for you to be very attached to the idea that the train is a bright light is incorrect. And the person who declares, no, it's a metal snake, and that's all it is, and that's how it is, and So the first step in spiritual life is admitting that we don't know. That's called humility. But I don't know. I may have some little teeny tiny perception, but let me take to this process to remove the cataracts from my eyes, Cheto Darpana Marjanam, by chanting Hare Krishna. So that's what we're telling people in the public. We're not claiming we've met God and we know it all and we've been there. What we're claiming is we're following a scientific path for cleaning the heart. And here are some of the symptoms that the heart's getting cleaned. Is that okay? Okay. Raga.
So I'm wondering, one of the promises that Krishna is making is that detachment causes detachment arises also. That's one of the symptoms of emotional soul. I'm wondering, there are other things also that might cause detachment.
Okay, Raga is asking a very nice question that Krishna also claims that detachment is a sign of making advancement in spiritual life and Krishna consciousness, but her question is, aren't there other things that cause detachment? So that's a very good question, because Krishna, when he says detachment from the material world, it's just like a coin. How many sides of the coin are there? Two. There's the heads and there's the tail. You can't have one without the other, right? So in Krishna consciousness, detachment means becoming attached to Krishna. A child has a knife in his hand. He goes into the kitchen and he picks up a knife. Mom is like, oh no, the child has a knife in the hand. Put that knife down, put that knife. Slapping the hand, put the knife down, put the knife down. Screaming, put the knife down. Will the child give up the knife? No. So what does the mother do? Oh, look. Here's this wonderful cupcake. Look at this cupcake. Come on, grab the cupcake. So in order to grab the cupcake, the child must relinquish the knife to grab the cupcake. That's real detachment. So when we say detachment, see, every word needs to be defined. So we as devotees, we have to be very careful when we use the word detachment, because we're not using it with the same definition that the rest of the world might be using the word detachment. When Krishna speaks about detachment, he's talking about it as the other side of the coin of attachment to Krishna. So there may be processes, impersonal, mechanical processes, which teach people detachment from the material world, so they just stand there like a stone. But that's not what Krishna is teaching. Krishna is teaching param drishtva nivartate, that by experiencing a higher taste, automatically you give up the lower taste. By grabbing that cupcake, the child automatically abandons the knife. Ekadashi.
I have a question about another symptom. The one where good fortune arises. How do you recognize that good fortune?
Okay, Ekadashi is asking, what is that good fortune that arises? And like I said, it's not that you win the lottery or something. The real good fortune is that a sincere attraction to Krishna consciousness arises in one's heart. Shushusho Shradhanasya Vasudeva Kata Ruchi Syan Mahat Sevaya Vipra Punya Tirtha Nishevanat. That simply by serving those devotees who are completely free of all vice, what happens? One gains an actual affinity for hearing the messages of Godhead. Right now, we're hearing the messages of Godhead because the doctor gave us the prescription. Okay, I have to take my medicine, right? We do it out of duty, out of responsibility, because I'm being forced to. I want to look good in the community, so I'm doing my hearing and my chanting. I come to the program. I'm doing it because I know it's good for me, like medicine. But at a certain point, Vasudeva Kata Ruchi, one actually gets an actual affinity for hearing and chanting. That's the fortune. That we're begging for. Give me that fortune. We're not coming to the temple, the church, the mosque, the synagogue, or whatever place of worship, asking the Lord for an A on my exam, please cure me of my disease, or please cure my loved one of a disease, or give me a brand new car, whatever it is, a promotion at work, or give me a job. We want the real fortune. What is that real fortune? That I actually have an affinity. Just like it's natural for the positively charged proton and the negatively charged electron to be attracted to each other, right? It's natural. So we want our attraction to Krishna to be natural. That's the fortune that arises in our life when our heart becomes cleansed by Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya, by always serving the devotees and the Bhagavat message. Okay, Prabhu, you had a question? It went away.
Sorts of thoughts going through my head at this point.
Okay.
I tend to respond to what's being said. That's how I answer.
Okay, I'm sorry. You lost your...
That's okay.
All right. Okay.
Say, but I have a question. Krishna says,
Somebody back here? Okay. Okay. Yes, very good question. Prabhu is asking that sometimes we meet people of other, quote unquote, other traditions that say that this is the way and the truth and the light and etc., the way and the only way. Krishna's not claiming that. Krishna's not saying, I am the only way. What he's saying is the only way to know me is bhakti. And that's the same message that all sectarian religions in the world are ultimately teaching, that one can't know God except through love, real love. Now, they might have their disagreements about how one attains love of God, but the Srimad Bhagavatam is giving a great science. The Srimad Bhagavatam, the Bhagavad Gita, is not explaining a religion. It is scientifically explaining the steps, the progressive steps on the path of spiritual progress, whether one is a Christian or a Hindu or a Muslim or a Jew or a Buddhist or a this or a that. By studying the symptoms of the different stages of advancement, no matter what tradition one's following, one can see where that person is at. So if one is on the Kanishta or neophyte platform, which is most of the people that we meet in the world, if they're even practicing a spiritual path, that's exemplified by their symptoms, that they can't understand the position of other devotees of the Lord. So if you meet people who are very adamant like that, you can't say much to them, because as preachers, we have to see 4 different types of people. There's the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whom we worship. There's the devotees of the Lord, whom we serve with and associate with. There's innocent people who we do try to give mercy to and try to instruct and help. And then there's the envious, that no matter what you say, they just want to argue and bark at you like dogs, bark, bark, bark. So what's the point? You just say, Hare Bol, and goodbye. They might be disappointed with that, but better to spend your time with somebody else. But you should just understand that we're not saying that this is the way and the only way. Krishna's saying by love only. And it's a science, so anybody with a little bit of intelligence and sincerity should be able to study that. And Prabhupada would say you can reach that in any tradition. You can study any scripture of the world and accept a guru in any tradition, but follow the path of bhakti. Not the path of jnana or the path of karma. Karma Mishra Bhakti or Jnana Mishra Bhakti. Pure bhakti. That's what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to teach. So it is 6 o'clock. So we should probably stop there so that everybody can now take the Lord's mercy in the form of the prasadam feast. So we thank you for your very kind attention. Thank you. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.